All right, episode 4 recap. The Ultimate Fighter season 27. What's going on, man? You look happy today.
I'm always happy.
You're always happy. I know you're always happy, but you look like you just woke up.
Nah, I did. My sleeping pattern's all fucked up. You know, waking up in the middle of the night, going to sleep in the middle of the night. I'm lucky I don't have to wake up early for work. But yeah, I woke up like late today and I'm still in bed.
Yeah. Now the episode, man. Yo, there you go. You got the silk blankets and everything.
Yeah.
um, now with the fight, man, the fight was just like it was like last week basically, except for it was on the ground. Total
Yeah.
domination by Bryce.
Yeah. Um, I had a feeling that would happen. You know, like I rolled around with Bryce and I rolled around with Jay as well. Jay's like a crafty guy. He's a veteran. And he's super tough, as you've seen. Like, he wouldn't give up the choke when many other people in the opportunity would have. But Bryce is like, and he's like glue. When he gets into a position, like when he's on your back, he's just there all day. I think that Bryce, if he had the cardio, he could have maybe pushed and finished that fight. But it was a bit of a shutout, and now we are down 0-4.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about that, man. Being down 0-4. There was so many different things going on in that episode, but let's talk about that part of being down 0-4 after the fights. What is it? Danali's out there talking about his $20,000 Rolex. I don't understand why he's screaming that to the other team. Why is he screaming like he has a $20,000? What is the point of saying all that?
So obviously, like you sometimes you never see the way it like blows up. They just kind of show what's going on, and
That's why we got you.
yeah, exactly. So you guys know that obviously Danali is, he's out there. He likes to talk about his money and he likes to talk about those things. These are the things that like he enjoys talking about. That's just him. Like some people call it arrogant or whatever, and it is. It's super arrogant, but it's just who he is and how he likes to portray himself. So I think right after the fight had finished, and me, Jay, Delaney, and Kylo, we were all roommates. All the 145ers from Team Urchins, we were all roommates. And obviously, we were a little bit closer, and Delaney was probably a bit upset over Jay losing because him and Jay were boys. And you know, I think he mentioned something like, yeah, fuck all your team anyway. Because they were like, oh, yeah, 4-0, baby, 4-0. Like, they just kept going on. And then Delaney eventually turned around and go, fuck you and your own 4. I'm still richer than all you motherfuckers anyway. You know, and he just kept playing off that. And he saw that the first time he said it, it got under their skin. So he said it again and again. And the cameras started coming towards him. And then Delaney started blowing up. And then Duran had made a comment, like I can't even remember what he really said, but he had made a comment to Delaney, and then Delaney was like, oh, who the fuck are you? Just a little broke boy and all this stuff. And then Duran obviously got a little bit upset, and he said that he was going to slap Delaney, and then that's where it all like just kicked off. And me and Dana White had to run in and break that fight up. Dana White had to hold Delaney back, I had to hold Duran back, and vice versa. But me and Dana White just swooped right in there and de-escalated the situation. Yeah.
Do you think that that's kind of like his insecurity that he just wants to turn to like bragging about his money when money doesn't mean anything in the house at all? It doesn't mean.
And we'll fight again in about money means zero in the house. Money doesn't exist. And that was kind of why the fight with Jose and Delaney started, because Jose was explaining, saying, you know, money doesn't exist. Your $20,000 Rolex doesn't mean nothing. Your $100,000 this doesn't mean nothing. You don't even have your cars right now. And I think that maybe Delaney not being around more of his cars or his women or whatever Delaney surrounds himself with, he was outside his comfort zone. So he had to always refer back to it. He had to always remind people. It is insecurities, but at the same time, Delaney, even when he was getting angry, he was always kind of having fun with the situation. You know, like he would be angry 1 second and like be blowing up, and he would be having a fight with someone, and then we'd walk away and I'd sit down, and then Delaney would smile at me and he'd be like, "Did you see that motherfucker's face when I told him he was broke?" Like, that's just how he is. Like, he wants to get, it's not so much he wants to get attention, he wants to get a reaction out of all the fighters there. So he definitely got a reaction from more than the fighters. So it's pretty cool. It was entertaining in the house.
Maybe that's why they kind of it was one of the reasons they picked him for the show. Is he like, I don't know if you think this, but
Maybe,
sometimes they
like, I'm
fighters
kind of
because
used.
of that.
Oh, 100%, right? If the like, I would say that with 90% of fighting. 90% of fighting nowadays, it's not so much about um, how well you do in your fight or who you fought or anything like that. Nowadays, it's okay. Where did you fight? How did you promote yourself post fight? And where are you going to go to next? And how are you going to promote it? You know, and Delaney is pretty good with that. Like, if the guy knows how to make money, he knows how to make sales. You know, if you know how to make sales in this game, you're going to go pretty far. A lot of the fighters, like what Delaney talked his way and talked his way and talked his way. Good on this sometimes to get into a position. You're just as smart. He took less brain damage to get to the UFC. Found out, some fighters don't. The fighters that do get found out, it depends on how they react to it and what they do to make the most of the situation after. And then some fighters, you find out that they're pretty legit. You know, they were just smarter about their career. I'm kind of used to all that talk. I realized being in that house, uh, Americans have a shit sense of humor. Sorry. You guys have a horrible sense of humor. Like, you guys have a good sense of humor, but it's not so much that, it's the banter, you know, kind of going back and forth. Like, anytime I would say anything to, like, one of the American guys, say, for instance, it was Tyler or it was Luis or someone like that, they would get really, really defensive. Now, if I said the same things to an Australian person or I said the same things to a person from the UK, they'll usually come back and throw a bit of banter back at me. And that's part of the fun of it. You guys don't kind of understand sarcasm a lot of the time, from what I've seen. You do. You do. Maybe because you're Asian, deep down.
No, I think I've just been dealing with a lot of Australians, but also I think in America, people are kind of they react to certain things because they're like, I don't know you like that. You know that I don't know you like that.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
get ya.
that. I don't know you like that. Why you playing me? I don't know you like that. You know, like they kind of have that attitude of
Yeah.
that reaction.
And it was like that. But what you got to realize is, hey, you don't know me like that. Well, fuck, you sleep in the room next to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, you live in the same house as me. We ate dinner together last night. We shared a moment. Don't say you don't know me like that. It's like, if two people can live in the same house as each other, I'm sure they can throw a bit of shit back and forth. You know, like,
Definitely, definitely.
you know, it was kind of like that. I've noticed when I went there and I went to Vegas, and before I went into the Tough House, I'd be watching TV, and every second commercial was a commercial to sue somebody.
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
hey, you want to claim your compensation? Did you hurt your back? Well, you deserve to get paid this. Every commercial is about suing someone or about some shit medicine that should get restocked, and like, oh, you better not have taken this medicine. If you took this medicine, you're probably gonna die. Call this number right now, and we can sue the company. That is like, right now, the mentality that I seen a lot of those guys had in that house. They would get so easily offended to the point where it would ruin their day, or it would do something like I said, like, you're Asian. I said something about you being Asian. Cool. I'm not being racist. I'm pointing out that you're Asian. Now, if I said the same thing to a black person, right? If I was like, hey man, you're black, they'd be like, what the fuck did you just call me? I'm like, whoa. I'm like, man, like, I'm just saying, like, if someone in the house, no one was racially abused more than me, right? Right. Me being the only Arab in the house, or like the only Iranian looking guy in the house, I copped a lot of like terrorist jokes, a couple of bomb jokes, right? It's because I'm explosive, all right? But I could take it, and I always had a laugh with it. But you'd say something back to someone else, they'd be like, oh, what the fuck? You know, you can't say that. And I'm like, man, we're all cool here. Everyone's just got to get along. Fighters need to be able to throw shit out at each other without getting so, like, butthurt.
That's called
Butthurt
banter.
fighters.
That's called
Yeah,
banter.
exactly. You know, you understand it because you've been around us a while. You know, you've spoken to us, but like the Americans don't get the Australian banter at all, or the UK banter. Like me and Jay would have a joke with someone, and then they'd look at us like we're the weird ones, or we'd tell them a story about something that happened in Australia, the UK, and they call us weird. You know, like I'm always joking around with someone, and I'm like I said, I'm cool with everyone. Like I've got black friends, Asian friends, I've got gay friends, I've got lesbian friends, and like my gay friends, I always give them shit. My lesbian friends, I always give them shit. My black friends, I always give them shit, and they always give me shit as well. You know, my gay friends are always trying to crack onto me. You know, and it's cool, it's normal.
Yeah.
If I was an American person and my gay friend tried to crack onto me, it's like whoa, hold your space. You know, but it's all fun. You got to enjoy this game. You got to enjoy life.
I think it's just American society now. They're just so sensitive about words. If you look at like, if you listen to like the Joe Rogan podcast a little bit, they kind of delve into that. Like everybody has a label, and you shouldn't call people this, and you should call people that. And I think that doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta fucking go with the flow. And no one's fucking serious. If you're serious, you know if someone's serious, and they're talking some racist shit at you. But if you're
Yeah,
joking, you're joking, man. Whatever.
exactly. Like, don't get me wrong. I never realized how sensitive people were until I got into that house. And yeah, sometimes they were oversensitive, so I was like, okay, let me just turn it down a bit because I could see the person's getting butthurt. But like I said, when you've got every second commercial on television telling you could sue someone for something, that's what kind of brings this mentality of no one can say ever anything bad to me. Man, have you seen half the shit that have been written about myself or fighters in general on the internet or UFC fighters? Gotta go with it. Like I've said it before, like I don't care if someone writes bad comments about me. I encourage bad comments. You know, it just like, but I never get hurt about it. Like if someone called me like, if someone made fun of anything of mine over the internet, someone I especially don't know, I'd never get cut at it. I usually like show my friends and I'll be like, look at what this guy just said about me. And I have a laugh about it. Some fighters aren't like that. A lot of those fighters in the house were really, really worried about what everyone was going to say about them when they got out of that house. But if you just act like yourself and someone calls you a dick, well, I guess you got to accept that you're a dick.
Because the people that really know you, they know you're a dick. So it doesn't really fucking matter how you portray yourself on the show because the real people already know who you are. So yeah, it's kind of a weird situation, that whole fucking house, you know, and the cameras being on you and you trying to, you know, once you let go, I guess that's when people really see who you are. That's why I want to talk about DC, man, because as the show goes, they're portraying DC very well on this show. You know, like the way he coaches and like the way he handles his fighters, they portray him very well. You know what I mean? Don't you think?
I think the UFC and the production team really like Daniel Cormier.
Yeah,
I
I
think they
do. I
really,
think so too.
because Stipe, like Stipe is not a coach. Like he came there himself and he said at the start, like I'm not a coach, so he brought his coaches in,
Hmm.
and his coaches were doing a good job. Like I said before, if we came there and lost, it was our own fault. You know, like 2 weeks of being with Stipe or Cormier or anything isn't going to make a difference. The person who was meant to win won. That's it. That's as far as it goes for me. I never make an excuse or anything like that. So for my team that just went 0-4, like if any of them tried to make excuses, there's no excuse. Like you lost. You know, if I win, I won because I won. If I lose, I lost because I lost. That's it. But Stipe was there, and he was more of like a mentor, a role model for us. He had the coaches, and the coaches were doing a great job. But what kind of annoys me at times is you see the camera in between rounds. The only person the camera is on is Stipe. And I understand that it's Team Miocic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there was other coaches there as well saying different things. And everyone's like, oh, Stipe's not saying anything. Stipe's not saying anything. We had other guys to help us out there. You know, like everyone's kind of like ripping on Stipe about being a bad coach or anything. I don't need a good coach. I don't need a good. I'm meant to be a undefeated professional. I'm meant to be good for myself. Without this person, I made it here without Stipe. I made it here without DC. So why shouldn't I just like still be able to perform no matter what they say? You know. So anyone who's kind of pointing at that is looking too far into it. But they are. Everyone can see that they are making Cormier out to be the super coach and Stipe to be the not so good coach. But they're both coaches in their own right.
I thought after Jay lost, you guys were in the locker room or whatever, and Stipe told like his little story about when he lost and he was gonna quit. I thought that was a good moment though for you guys.
It was. You know what sucks? That moment actually went for longer. Like there was more said, but I remember I was sitting like directly across from Stipe when he said that. He was kind of like looking in our direction because he knew. I think there was a group of us that hadn't fought yet. There was like me and Trezano, Delani. He was kind of looking at us a little bit more, and he was saying, you know, like when I lost to Stefan Struve, obviously, I thought that was it because Stefan wasn't ever a top 10 really guy, you know, and he knocked Miocic out. He's like, I thought that was it. I thought I'm never going to make it. And I stopped, you know, feeling sorry for myself. And I just said, I'm going to go in there and put it on the line every time. And that's kind of when he may have like turned his career around. It was a good moment to hear that. But Stipe got the shits once because everyone was you know, making fun of him. Like, if anything ever came up, we just mentioned the fact that he lost to Stefan Struve. He was always getting pissed off about that. He really, like, that if one thing gets under his skin, you mentioned the Stefan Struve loss, you just see his face change. Like, it completely changes.
Well, so I guess that's a soft button for Stipe then.
It is. It honestly is a bad button to push for Stipe.
Well, it seemed like he's like a guy that if you follow him, he's a guy that has banter.
Yeah, he is. He seems like he doesn't like talk that much, and like Cormier is the loud one, but Stipe plays the jokes. But Stipe is always joking around. Stipe is like one of the guys, and that was the cool thing about like meeting people like Stipe is that he's so humble and he was just like a normal person. He would speak to us and probably seen too much of him and too much of Cormier over the season, but he was just like any other person. Like he understood jokes. Like his team really did. Like Volante, Kraus, Kamosi, you know, Dustin Jacoby, those guys, they had banter. You know, maybe because they've been around the industry for a while and they've met so many people from around the world that they've kind of grown that banter. You know, but you know, you're in a gym full of killers, you know, and for these guys to still be able to like lighten the mood up at times is what you needed. You know, everyone at that gym was good. Like the coaches, the fighters, everyone had some skill. So when the tensions were high, it was always good to have these guys that had a bit of banter, and even Cormier. At the start, I used to get a little bit annoyed at the banter that Cormier would throw out because Cormier would like walk into our change room, into our practice room while we're practicing, and he would be loud. He'd be like, oh, I'm coming in this, motherfucker, what are you? And it would get under my skin at the start, and it would annoy me at the start, but then after a while, I realized it was just kind of lightening the mood up.
Bryce Mitchell, he's a country boy, he's a redneck. Is that the first redneck you've ever met in your life?
Yeah. Bryce is probably the most country fool I've ever met in my life. Right, he's like a black man in a white man's body with like the most southern accent you could catch. Bryce is one of a kind. You see, like I was in the back and I was making Bryce's bow with him in the back and helping him kind of bend it, get his feathers and stuff. He is a very, very interesting man. He's super, super like handy. If I ever needed someone, like if we ever got lost in like the woods, Bryce is the person we want to get lost with. He will teach you so much shit, and he's loud. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. If he doesn't like someone, he says it. If he doesn't like the government, he says it. Like, he's real big into like conspiracy theories and shit. And that's what he was going on about in the whole house, like how the government's out to get him and shit.
Straight like a redneck. Straight like a redneck, you know?
He's like, yeah. He's like, fuck them. They want to fucking take away our rights, take away our guns. You know, like, he's like big on his guns and shit. Like, a lot of those guys are. And yeah, it was cool to have him. And he's a skilled fighter. He's a real skilled fighter. Real hard to deal with. Real good wrestling when he gets in deep on that double. And his ground game is phenomenal. Something you guys probably missed is when we were doing the evaluations. So we did the evaluations with like Cormier. We did them with Stipe. We rolled, we wrestled, we struck a bit. We did a bit of everything. And then I remember me and Bryce had rolled, and we had rolled. And when Bryce had rolled, I knew I seen him do it before. He had this killer triangle set up, and I seen him do it to someone before. I'm like, I'm not gonna get caught with that shit. Started rolling around with Bryce in the fucking in the evaluation, and he fucking triangled me. Mm-hmm. Like, he tapped me in the evaluation. I was like, damn, what the fuck? This motherfucker got me. I started going at him. I got his leg, and me and him had some like mad scrambles. And then at one stage, I got him in a knee bar. And as I got him in the knee bar, I don't know how I positioned myself, but I got positioned in like a funky way. But I was like pulling the knee, and he had me in like this weird like head and arm. Like, it wasn't choking, but it was like hurting my neck. So I'm trying to pull his leg, and he's trying to pull my neck. And we were in this position for like 30 seconds. And whoever was the first person to adjust their hands was going to get the tap. Yeah. And we both knew that. We were both like at a good enough level to know that whoever moves first is going to get tapped. So we just like held it. And then I remember, I think it was one of the coaches. It might have been Cain Velasquez was like walking over us. And was like, hey, what are you two doing? Like, it just looked like we were stuck in a position and no one was moving. And then Cain like just kind of shook his head, walked by. And then Bryce, like, he's under my arm, and he goes to me, oh, hey, let go of that knee bar and I'll let go of this head and arm choke. And he goes, we won't make each other look bad. And I go, all right, cool. So we let go and just started rolling again. And
nice.
And it was cool, like, because, like I said, a lot of the guys were there, and they were like really thirsty to compete, which is good. I was hungry there to compete, and so was Bryce as well. But when we were in our evaluations, Bryce didn't give a fuck. Like, and like, neither did I. Like, we were just joking around, messing around, rolling. And then when that happened, Bryce is just like, hey, come on, let's get back to rolling. Neither of us are going to win this battle. Don't worry about it, you know? So it's cool, like, for someone like Bryce, who's so young, to have that like little bit of maturity of like not arrogance. Mm-hmm. If he really wanted to be arrogant, he could have like held on to that and said, I'm not fucking letting go of this, because if I do, he's gonna knee bar me or whatever. But he had the decency to come out and say, hey man, we're probably both gonna tap each other out. Just let go of it, you know. So it shows signs of like a real mature fighter, like confidence within himself. Like, he was so confident against me that he could say, oh yeah, let's just let go of this and start again, you know? He didn't care how he rolled. He didn't care how he did. Bryce was just himself. Bryce was the realest motherfucker there, you know?
Well, that's a moment that kind of shows, like, in training between fighters, that you could you could show respect to the next person, you know? And it's not like there's a time to do it, you know, 100%, but there's a time where you guys could kind of, you know, ease up and not go. You know, you could go like 25%.
Well, look, like I said, I had his knee. He had my head, right? If he squeezed harder than I pulled his knee, he probably could have put me to sleep. Or if I squeezed his knee harder than he was pulling my head, I probably could have like gone crazy and tried to break his knee or something. But that was kind of what I liked with meeting someone like Bryce. It was like the professionalism. in a fighter to not want to get injured, want to continue into this competition and be smart training. You know, some of the guys, like, they didn't want to give you an inch and you really had to steal it, you know. And there was times when I could feel that they didn't want to give me anything, and I'd be like, okay, don't worry about it, like, let's move on, you know, because the egos would rise, as they always do. Like, egos rise in a normal gym where you're not competing against that person, like possibly fighting against them. So you can imagine how it was getting into the TUF gym. All I wanted to do was just train, stay injury free, and just like get through the process as healthy and as good as possible to possibly fight.
Speaking of healthy, Luis Pena.
It's a heartbreaking moment.
Yeah, this episode, his foot was broken, or what was fractured? What was going on?
He fractured his foot. He fractured his foot. Or I don't know exactly what they said. Fractured, isn't fracture and a break the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had like broken his foot. Obviously, it was we knew it was kind of coming because he came home and he was walking around. I'm like, man, his foot looks pretty fucking big, you know. And I said to him, I'm like, hey man, because this was after his fight. I go, I think I was sitting on the couch with him one day and he was upset. It was just me and him, like no one else was kind of around. And I was like, oh, how's your foot? And he's just like, oh, no, it's good. Like, he was playing it off, and I could tell inside that something was wrong. And then, and I think the next scene was like when Tyler and him were talking by the bar, and then he kind of got upset. And he went and checked out his foot, and then came back to the house and had that, like, remember the Titans moment. Yeah. Where it's like, yeah, y'all gotta do this. Y'all gotta win it. Fuck these motherfuckers. He had to remember the Titans moment. Yeah. I hate laughing at Spain, but, you know, Luis is cool. Like, you know, Luis is training with my boy Alex right now at AKA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they just posted up a selfie before they were training together at AKA.
All right, well, so with that, he was emotional. Of course, people will be like, why is he so emotional? Hey, it's emotional, man. It's the biggest opportunity of your life, and you're gone from that season.
It is. When you have... Forget that if he didn't fight and that happened. Like, imagine that happened in training. I don't think it would have hurt as much as the way it happened. Yes. He went through, like, a pretty grueling fight. A fight where Jose didn't want to give up. And he threw everything he could at Jose to try and put him out. He advances and he gets to a semifinal. And I think Luis is like someone who truly believes that he was better than everyone on that show. I think he truly believes that he was destined to win that. And I think that it hurts him to obviously not have that opportunity when he's seen it so close. It was one more fight until the finale. So close yet so far. But that's the way the game works. Everything happens for a reason. If Luis is meant to get injured, like you're saying, Dana White came up to him and said, you know, you're going to get a shot. Will he get a shot? I don't know. But you know, it all happens everything happens for a reason. You know, maybe this was the best thing to happen to him, for him to feel not a loss, but the heartbreak of what it feels like to not fight. And it will make him grow and become a better fighter.
I love the moment where he was just selling himself to Dana White too. He's like, you know, that's not. Remember when he was like right next to Dana? Dana's like, yeah, you know, you know, yeah, you know, he was Dana White was doing the Dana White. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, you.
Dana is Dana, but like, I guess you've got to sell. You've
got
to, like,
of course.
Let the boss know that you want something. It was funny the way he said it to Dana when, like, there was fighters around, but he went real quiet. He was like, I'm the best motherfucker on this show. The other fighters felt a sigh of relief, like, looking around. You know, but he the same thing he said to Dana, he said to me as well in that house. He was like, he said it about his own team. He's like, oh man, when I told my team, I felt them all have a big sigh of relief that they're not fighting me. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool.
Is that delusional, you think?
A little bit, because honestly, when you're in that situation, I don't think anyone thinks, fuck, I'm happy this guy's out of the competition. I think at the end, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're going to end up fighting someone else anyway. you know. And stylistically, it doesn't matter who's better. It matters on the style of the fight, you know. Like I guarantee you there was fights, like different fights that should have happened, and if they did turn out different ways, then in that first four, even in the first four, if different matches were worked in different ways, stylistically, we could have been 4-0. It could have been the same thing. So I think, but I think Luis just obviously believes in himself. Maybe believes in himself a little bit too much, but you got to have that arrogance and that belief. I don't like to think of other fighters fearing me, and that's what Luis wanted. Luis wanted other fighters to fear him, and I think that was his edge that he had. So I think he needed that, but it's not my style.
If you edit the show a certain way, you could kind of make it look like that the other fighters feared him by the way he would, express himself and
yeah,
add everything together.
He had a lot of run-ins with the guys at his own weight.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much on our team, more on the other on his own team. He had a lot of run-ins with them, and because, for instance, all the lightweights for Team Miocic and all the featherweights, they all slept together, like lightweights and then featherweights. In Team Cormier, they split it up straight away. They went 2 and 2, 2 and 2, and they trained, I think, the same way as well. They never kind of trained together. Like Tyler didn't like training with the 45ers. I know Brad was more training with the 45ers as well. Like, it is what it is. They could edit that show to be anyway, but till now it's been pretty on the money.
For sure. Other than that, next week you got Trezano versus Thailand Clark. What do you think about this matchup? I know you already know what happens, but I'm saying, what do you think about this stylistic matchup?
I'll just tell you before the fight, my thought exactly. I could see someone like Thailand breaking. As the show went on, he was getting more and more agitated, more and more nervous, and I think he was nervous when he came up against Mike, because Mike's a real well-rounded fighter. He's got good striking, good grappling. He's good all around. And Thailand was kind of the guy that you weren't really sure what he was good at. He was just like a tough guy that would like keep coming, and I thought that Mike was way too much for Thailand. But I guess we're gonna see.
Definitely, we will see what's gonna happen. Hopefully, maybe someone's gonna do a good prank on Danali, because he has so much jewelry and watches, and maybe
you know what? There was one time I was actually thinking about like just hiding his gold and jewelry. But then I was like, nah, I won't do that. I wasn't about the pranks and shit now. So the other team was about they did some pranks. But they were fucking shit. They were so shit they haven't even made it on air yet. That just shows how shit their pranks were.
For sure. Well, I guess that's it. We'll see episode 5, and
episode. I've seen episode 5. Right. Episode 5 is pretty good. Like, it's pretty interesting. There's some shit that goes on in the house. Oh, not so much in the house, maybe in the gym. But some shit goes down on this next show. Like, you kind of see like a bit of anger from a few of the fighters. You see a bit of like a bit of confrontation.
Is it internal anger on your team?
No, it's between the teams.
Oh, it's between the teams.
Between the teams, and then it kind of goes on to episode 6, and then episode 6, like, I think everyone's getting more and more and more into the show. I think by this episode 5 or episode 6, like, you're just gonna have more and more people coming in. It's awesome. It's good.
They just announced that your brother is not fighting in Singapore. Before I let you go, of course, we could talk about it now, that your brother is not going to fight in Singapore. They announced that the Japanese guy is going to take his spot, right?
Saki.
Yeah, Urka.
Yeah.
Urka.
But Yeah, my brother was hopeful. Like he liked that matchup. It was a good fair fight. You know, Janelle's coming off some losses, and my brother is as well. You know, but the thing was, his nose and breathing had gotten so bad that it was like he was unable to train. He was unable to walk upstairs without like him getting claustrophobic and shit. Like it was real bad, and it's from the years of breaking his nose, like just like not like big breaks, but like he getting hit in the nose, fights, training, and never getting it treated. You know, it had the bone had broken. The bone had broken, and then when the bone had reformed, it had blocked his airways through both nostrils, so he couldn't breathe. So they had to like go kind of re-break it and open up from the inside all the airways so we can start breathing again. And like he's had this issue for like the past 2 years, but the last like 3 or 4 months, probably like last 2-3 months, like he'd obviously copped some hits in sparring, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And yeah, he had to go in for emergency surgery. They were like, you got to go in now, you know, and get this fixed up. So he went in for emergency surgery. I put up like a little Instagram thing, and then of him like in the hospital, and then I had so many people message me that I just had to quickly take it down. But he's ready. He wants to fight. Like as soon as his nose is better, he wanted to fight Janelle. He wrote even a message to Janelle saying that you know, he hopes he gets through the fight and they can do it down the track. You know, so you know, I think that when he gets back into it, whoever, if they want to put him with the winner of the Sasaki and Lausa fight, that's cool. If they want to put him with the loser of the Lausa and Sasaki fight, it'll be cool. My brother will fight either of them. You know, like in his debut, he fought like John Moraga, you know, and he doesn't care who he fights. He's just in there to fight. So, but hopefully down the line we get a fight with Janelle or with Sasaki or one of these guys or someone like that as well.
Do you think that you know his nose has been hindering him through his whole UFC career?
Cardio wise, it is always going to affect you. You know, it is going to affect you, but my brother's not one for excuses. Like he could have had plenty of other excuses for like a lot of things, but he doesn't make excuses. And I said that to him. Like a few people at our gym was like, man, you're going to be able to breathe for the first time in 2 years. Like you haven't been able to breathe. And one of the guys was speaking to my brother, and he said, what's it like? Like, what's the feeling like of your nose? Like, what do you feel like? And you know those like VO2 masks that you wear? The guy, he says that it feels like someone constantly has their hand over his mouth. And they were choking him, and now he can't get back into training for the next like 4 weeks or something. Still like no contact, but he says already walking around now he can actually breathe like a normal person. Do I think that it played a part in his last few fights? I'm not even going to make an excuse and say that. But do I think that he's going to become better because of it in his next performance? 100%.
Yeah, definitely you're going to be able to push harder, you know what I mean? Like you can breathe.
And that was one of the things. We were always kind of working around things. And one of the things that I said to my brother was, hey, your back's against the wall right now. And we know how the UFC works, and we know what people would be saying. You know, you've lost 2 fights in a row. Third fight you lose, you know, you could be out. And that is right. We're lucky that we're even getting this third chance. So the next fight, it's not about like getting injured or anything like that. It's about go in there, like train as hard as you can. No matter what happens, it happens. You know, and just go in there and leave everything in that cage. Leave everything in the training room, and then go and leave everything in the cage. And as long as you do that, you know, you can be happy with yourself and sleep at night.
For sure. All right, Suman, next week, episode 5. I'll talk to you. Take care.
Probably be one of the best episodes yet.
For sure.